So namaste everyone, welcome again. Today we would be covering how to diagnose yourself, your emotional, mental and physical well-being using the energy that flows through you. And this week onwards we'll change the sessions a little bit more uh, because what happens is that if there are many people, sometimes I'm in a hurry because I'm mindful of the time. So I'm not able to work on their energy as much, and because of which we had a couple of experiences where not everyone was able to have that experience of their Kundalini rising. And for that purpose, what we are going to do is going forward, we would first have this session where we would cover whatever we need to do in terms of the meditation and the learning itself. And beyond that, we would just end this video session, and then whoever has time and whoever has not been able to raise their Kundalini during the regular meditation, they can stay back and then I can work on them after the session, so that there is no time constraint, and however long it takes, I can make sure that that happens. So whoever is interested in that experience of Kundalini rising, they can stay back. This is kind of a very important session because one of the first things I wanted to cover is that how these chakras work, and that's what would give you an understanding of what to do when your Kundalini is rising, when you feel that energy flowing through. How do you figure out what sort of areas need attention? So first of all, these chakras, I'm sure like most of you are aware what they are in general. I'm also sure that most of you might have searched on Google or internet and seen that every single person, every single sage, every single guru has different interpretation of these chakras. There is no single consistency anywhere, and every person you talk to has different belief around how to work within these chakras and which chakras belong to what. You know what? They're all right. Every single person is correct. And there is a reason for that. Once you understand law of attraction very well, then you would realize that they are all correct. All the religions are correct. Every single thing they teach you in religions is correct. Every single thing they talk about about different chakras, different energies, different healings, it's all correct. Even though they are contradicting quite often. And how can everyone be correct when they are contradicting each other? The reason is, when you really look at it, the power is not within what those people tell you. It's in the power is in your mind. You create your own universe around you, and you get those experiences that you want within that universe, or you think about without realizing. So whatever you're thinking about, whatever your vibration is, whatever your belief is, that's exactly what would come into your universe. And same thing applies to these energy centers as well. So every single person has a different interpretation. So it's not that they're wrong, but in their universe, that's the interpretation. And then people who believe in that interpretation within their universe, that becomes the right interpretation. But it may not be the right interpretation for some of the other people. So all you need to do is just pick one belief, one set of properties for each chakra, whatever you believe in. So, and that's it, stick with that. So for now, because we have been following this meditation technique, where we have talked about different chakras, that with base chakra we say that I am where I am and I'm pleased with it. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to set the intent that from now onwards, this base chakra in my mind is linked to my circumstances and my emotions and my energy level related to my circumstances. You could do it differently. So once you start raising your Kundalini, you would be able to have different beliefs. You would be able to create your own beliefs. You would be able to have different intentions for each chakra as you raise your Kundalini. You may even be able to create your own rituals. You may be able to create your own healing practices. Because when person is healing the other person using energy, like most of the spiritual healing practices. It has nothing to do with the rituals that they perform. It's about the creating that belief between the person who is performing that ritual and the person on whom that ritual is being performed. Once that belief is established, the person who is doing the healing just has to raise their vibration and energy level to an extent that that healing occurs. And the moment that belief is gone from either party, or that connection is gone, then it stops working. And same thing that happens with doctors as well. Not all doctors can cure all the illnesses all the time. Not all medicines work with all the people all the time. There are side effects. It boils down to belief. Even medicines which are just sugar pills, which are not really medicines, they also work as well as the real medicines because the belief exists. So it's about that belief that in our meditation, we said base chakra, we have set our intent saying, I am where I am and I'm pleased with it. So anything related to that, for as long as you're following this meditation, if you set that belief for now until you decide to change it, once your Kundalini rises and you start wanting to change it, you can. So until then, let's just assume that base chakra is our circumstances and our emotions and feelings and thoughts and vibrations related to our circumstances. I am worthy of all that I want. And then the worthiness comes from the fact that, I am pleased with myself, I am happy with myself. And also, whatever things I want, I believe that I can get those things. That belief that those things are good, I want those things and I can get those things. I don't have to prove any point to anyone. I don't have to pray to some higher God. I don't have to please some priest in a church. I am worthy. I don't need to have somebody else tell me that I am worthy. So that belief, because we all are worthy. We all have the exact same powers flowing through us as any priest or any sage or any guru has. We are no different from any of those priests. It's just a job for them. They don't do it because they have some higher spiritual powers. They just do it because that's a career, profession that they have chosen because of whatever the desires they hold. And then they train themselves into that career. That's it. So nothing's more, better or worse than any of your jobs or careers that you have. It's all the same. They're just people like us. They're no different. I am no different. I'm just like anyone else in this room. Only thing is that I've been just looking for these things, I've been asking for these things, I've been asking for these answers. So because I've been asking for it as per law of attraction, I started getting some of those answers. That's all. That's all there is. You can set the same intents. If this is what you desire, just set your intent and this is what you would get. So you need to be aware that everyone is the same, everyone has the same powers, everyone is worthy. And all the desires are good. If it makes you feel good, it's a good desire. That's it. That is the right thing for you to do. So that's that chakra here. Then we are talking about any sensations that we get here. We are talking about I am at peace with everyone. Which means this links to the relationships you have and what sort of feelings you have in general for other people or thoughts or vibrations. So this relates to that in our meditation. Heart, love, joy, passion, those positive emotions. Then we are talking about I want to observe my emotions. So this is basically where your guidance system kicks in. Because as we have been talking about again and again, that if you are feeling good, that means you're going towards the things that you want. So those things are going to gradually, slowly start manifesting into your life. If you're feeling bad, the negative manifestations are going to start occurring in your life. And that's how you observe your emotions and realize whether whatever the future events that are going to happen in your life are going to be pleasing to you or not pleasing to you. And you would have noticed that quite often, just before something goes haywire, something really big or bad happens, you would get that sensation, you would feel bad. Usually those things don't just turn up just like that, no. You get that fair warning, and that warning comes from your guidance system where you're feeling bad emotions, bad feelings, bad thoughts, bad whatever, like you see evidence of bad omens occurring, whatever you believe is the bad omen. Again, every single person has a different belief. So some people, like in India, believe that if the cat crosses the road, that's a bad omen, right? So they used to go in the opposite direction, go through some other path. Whatever you believe is bad omen for you, those things would occur. For different people, different bad omens based on their belief will start occurring. So you would see a fair bit of warning before, boom, the axe falls, and suddenly you realize that there is no turning back. It's over. So during that period, when you start having those negative emotions, negative thoughts, and all this, that's a warning that your inner being is telling you, your soul is telling you, you're not heading in the right direction. You better change it. You better change yourself. And how you change it is by cleaning up your vibrations, by changing your thoughts. And even when those warnings are coming up, even if you believe that something big, something bad is going to happen, once those warnings start coming up, if you start cleaning up your energy at that point, if you start cleaning up your thoughts at that point, you would see that those things would not materialize. Or even if they do materialize, the impact would be much less than what it could have been. Quite often when people have had that feeling, nagging feeling that they might get into an accident all the time, right? Every now and then. And suddenly they do get into an accident. But if they have been trying to clean their vibration, clean their thoughts, or if they have strong beliefs, then they may not be able to stop that accident, but nothing would happen to them. Only the car may be damaged. So there are these ways you could not only prevent those things, but also you can possibly minimize the impact those things have. So this comes from our throat chakra, this guidance. And so we have to be very particular about this chakra and try to keep it clear, the vibrations here, because this is the focal point, and that's the reason when we are doing the affirmations, we do it most times here, 16. Because if this chakra is not clear, we are not going to feel anything in the rest of the places. That's it. We are gone. We are disconnected from any sensations that we would get when we are connected to any higher powers, higher energy. You go to church, you go to temple, nothing would work for you because you just don't know what's going on in your body, in your mind. So this is one chakra you need to focus on. Because once you are clear, this chakra stays clear, then you would feel sensation in the rest of the body and you'll be able to figure out what's going on. And then this is the third eye, where this is where you get the inspiration, divine guidance. So basically, when we set our intent and we ask for answers, its intent could be we are just looking for some information, we are not sure about something, so we want clarification about that thing. We have two paths to choose, we don't know which paths to choose, we want answers on which path is better for us. Anything, or it could be we want more money, we want better relation, we want, whatever it might be. Once you set that intent, quite often you would see that those things, once you have been working on your thoughts and doing all the exercises or rituals or whatever processes that we have, you would start seeing the evidence that those things are coming, and quite often those things just materialize into your life from nowhere. Just out of nowhere. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. Like for instance, these sessions, it's just happened. So I didn't have to do anything, didn't have to convince anyone, just happened. Now, similarly, there are a lot of other things that have been happening in my business as well. Until few months ago, my business was running on a loss, and I was having to put in a lot of my personal time and money to keep it going. And all of a sudden, very quickly, things turned around. And so many other things, like, with my kids, my wife, everything. Like, things turned around like overnight. Like, my daughters suddenly became a different person overnight. Overnight, without me having to say anything to her. She's a completely different person today than what she was a few months ago. And all of these transformations happened so suddenly that it's out of this world. I cannot believe that those things happen. And so basically these things would just happen out of nowhere. You would just materialize as if, from nowhere. But quite often what would happen is you would suddenly have an inspired thought. So you would just get a feeling. If you're asking for answers, you would get that feeling and suddenly you would have that answer in front of you. If you're asking for clarification, suddenly you would have that clarification. Or sometimes you would get an inspiration. Oh, you know what? I better do this. That's the inspired thought. The moment you get that, all of those things, the answers, the guidance, the clarifications, and those inspirations come from here. Using that inspiration, I've invented a new technology, which I believe is going to be bigger than Google and Apple in the next few years. Okay. And I was struggling to take it off the ground. I was running into losses because inventing such a big technology requires a lot of investment in time and cash. So I had been putting all of that money in, and all of a sudden now my company has become profitable out of nowhere. I've got a development team sitting in India for doing all the products and looking for sales and marketing people. I got money to pay all of them. So it was just so sudden, it just happened out of nowhere. And I didn't have to go out and do anything. I didn't have to do, when I was actually earlier, when I was doing a lot of selling, I was investing thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds on salespeople and the people who are making calls to all the businesses, trying to get businesses, just the regular rigmarole of business. Nothing worked. All of that money just went down the drain. Now, I don't do any selling at all. I just sit at my home and think. That's all I do. Business just came in. That's it. I didn't have to go tell anyone. I didn't have to convince anyone. I didn't have to sell anything to anyone. Things just came in. So those are the kind of things that we are looking for. So you have that belief those things would happen, but also you have to listen to your guidance, because you would get that guidance and suddenly you would get the inspired thought. I better do this. I need to do this. I want to do this. And once you get those thoughts, you act on those, you follow up on those, and that's it. So this is that chakra. And this is your connection to God or higher power, that energy, the all-encompassing energy. So here you have basically a spiral that goes in, which is in this funnel form. Okay. All the way to the edge of the universe, and that's where it connects. And within that spiral, it's like a container. And from that, outside of the edge of the universe, there is only energy and thoughts. All the thoughts that have ever been thought. So that energy flows within that spiral and comes through your body and get released from your base chakra. And this is the energy that we are going to use to diagnose ourselves, and later on at some point we would learn how to use to heal ourselves as well. So this is the role of each of these chakras within our lives. So now question is that for now you would have to somehow set that belief that this is what we would believe these chakras to represent in our meditation, because that's what it links to our meditation. Because none of us, even when I started looking at this topic, I have no idea. I looked at all these different books and websites, and everywhere, every single person is saying different things. So who do you believe? Who do you believe? And then I did meditation. I got the answer. I believe myself. That's it. And the moment I did that, I realized that all those symptoms that I had set my belief on each chakra, those symptoms started appearing in those sections. From then on, what has happened is that earlier, when the same situation would generate some sensations within my heart or body or mind, right? Since I set that belief, now those sensations have shifted places. Now those indications appear in those chakras at the right places. That's the power of belief. Why? Because when you think about it, how does our mind work? Our body is controlled by our mind. And how does our mind work? It's pure chemical reactions. Like the mind as well as all the nervous system has all these neurons, very, very small, tiny cells. Okay, they are long cells with sort of a head on one side and kind of a tail on the other side. And in between there is a stem kind of a thing. And there is a sodium and potassium ions. There are chemicals with sodium and potassium ions. The concentration varies outside and inside. And as the concentration inside and outside changes, those ions just cross through those walls and go outside and inside. As the concentration changes, the sensations, the feelings, the thoughts, everything is generated. Okay. So these are just chemical reactions. So the power is in thoughts. Everything is controlled and created by thoughts. And that's the reason animals don't create or invent things.
Sorry, that's the reason. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Everything is controlled and created by thoughts.
Yeah, animals, you said something.
They don't invent things. They don't create new things, but humans do. Because they do not have those deliberate conscious thoughts. They go by instinct alone. While humans have a choice to create those deliberate thoughts. Now that's a double-edged sword. You can create or destroy using that same sword. It's like fire. You could destroy things or you could make things with it. So those deliberate thoughts, if you control those thoughts and go in the right direction, you would get the right results in your life as well as the people around you. If you take them in the wrong direction, you would get wrong results for yourself as well as people around you. Or you could just have those thoughts somewhere in the middle and just live your rest of your life out and not realize what you're doing and why you're doing it. You just go through it. So that's that connection and the power of belief. Before we move on to the meditation and try to feel those sensations, one important thing I wanted to talk about was today. I'm sure many of you would have looked into the website about Kundalini, what it is, and you would have seen loads and loads of places where people give lots of warnings. Lots of people have shared their negative experiences that when our Kundalini is raised, this is what happens. So this is something important that I thought at some stage I would need to cover. First of all, we have to understand that Kundalini itself is just a type of meditation. So there is nothing physical that is really happening within your body at that stage. It's just meditation. So it's just like any other meditation. You put your hand here, here, here. Nothing should ideally happen. It's just your thoughts, right? And the belief that gets created that once you perform that ritual, and that's how all the rituals work. Hindu religion is based on rituals. Like you have certain mantras, you have certain, things where you light a fire, throw certain items into the fire, you burn those things, chant those mantras, perform some actions, and then you expect that certain results would occur. Whole religion is based on that. Okay. So what happens is those rituals themselves don't do much, because it's the belief. Your belief that those rituals would yield you certain results. That changes your belief structure and your thoughts. That's what gets you those results. So similarly, whatever these rituals we are doing, as such, they're not making any changes to your body as such. But because of that belief and your thoughts, then you start feeling those sensations and you start feeling those things. So similarly, as far as the Kundalini is concerned, once you know that it is your connection to your higher source, higher power, God, and that healing energy is flowing through you. You're allowing that healing energy to come through you. So there is no way there could be any ill effect of that. It's not possible. Unless you hold a belief that by doing that, let's say you have read too many articles and suddenly some people warned you about certain things, and then you suddenly start holding that belief that this is something not good for you or it's going to create all these negative effects. And once you set that belief in, that's when you would start seeing the same kind of things that you have set your belief in, not otherwise. So if you completely believe that how can that higher power, the God, the healing energy cause any harm to me, then that's it. Nothing can happen. And nothing does happen because, to be honest, there is nothing really going through your body at that point other than your beliefs and thoughts. And that's what is making you feel those sensations. One thing though, what happens is that when the energy is flowing through you, that energy has a lot of power. Like in olden days, the Indian sages, they would go on into Himalayas for meditation. They would do meditation for years and years and years. That's all they would do. And then suddenly through that power of their Kundalini, that energy that flows through them, they would come out of that forest with some big inventions. Like there was something called Brahmastra, which is like, the hydrogen bombs of today. And, there was something called Pushpak Viman, which is like spaceships. So it had properties of like a real nice sci-fi UFO spaceship kind of things. So all these things, they have been documented in Indian texts throughout the history. Obviously, Hindus have lost touch with that, Indians have lost touch with that, because first they were ruled by Muslim rulers for thousands of years, and then Britishers came in, and then Britishers had that culture that anyone who involves in those rituals or those kind of things, they're witches or whatever, so they had come out of that sort of culture. And so they basically try to suppress all of that. So as a society, that whole Indian culture has moved away from that and forgotten about all of that. So even today, most people don't believe in any of those rituals or any of those beliefs that were set. But as such, those things don't matter, because once the society starts living with the dogma rather than the science behind it, then obviously those things don't work anyway. So it's better that that society has moved on. But those people now, we don't know what they did in those forests. They went in many years, they meditated, and came out with all these big inventions. So whether they just got an idea, that clarification, and they invented something with that thought, which is what our modern scientists do, or whether they had so much power in their thought that out of nowhere that thing materialized in front of them. We don't know that. Nobody knows that. But it's quite possible that they were able to invent those things just like any other scientist do. What do scientists do? They just think, and they come up with the idea, they experiment, and boom, there is the invention. How do I invent things? How did I invent this technology? As thought. That's all I did. I didn't have to do anything. I got those ideas, and then I implemented those ideas, boom. So the action part is very, very tiny. It's the thought that takes the long time. So all these inventions, everything big that happens because of those thoughts. Everything that happens in the universe happens through these thoughts. So this Kundalini also, it is controlled by your thoughts and it affects your thoughts both ways. And the way we talked about the link between law of attraction and Kundalini is that in law of attraction, you change your thoughts, improve your thoughts, so that your overall energy gets cleaned up, your vibration improves. In Kundalini, you work with the energy, improve that energy flow through your chakras, so that that vibration is cleared, and because of that, the thoughts improve. And when you're doing both of them together, you're working on both ends of the stick, and both things improve side by side. So what happens is, when that energy is flowing through you, that energy, depending on the kind of thoughts you hold, if you have resisting or negative thoughts in your mind, then that energy could actually be blocked sometimes. Your mind or body would start resisting the flow of that energy. And that resistance would be evident to you through some not very pleasant sensations, either on top of your head or on one of the chakras. But that would happen only if you set that your intent and you want that to be a guidance system. Because what happens is, you're supposed to know how you're feeling, but quite often we are so out of touch with our own feelings that we don't even know ourselves whether we are feeling good or bad. We might actually derive pleasure, from doing something which in reality our inner being is saying, no, don't do that. So we have lost touch with our own emotions, and if this chakra is blocked, we are completely blind. We don't know whether we are feeling good or bad anyways. We just go by whatever, like, I don't know how, So, but because that becomes a little bit difficult, quite often when people are trying to manifest things, they think that they are thinking of wanting more money, and they think that they are like being joyous about all those thoughts. But in reality, deep inside, they're feeling sad that they don't have enough money, or frustrated or annoyed. So they will never get that money, no matter how much they keep wanting that. So So that's why having this Kundalini as a second guidance system, it's much more powerful guidance system, because you cannot miss those sensations. It's impossible for you to miss those sensations. So once you set that guidance system as your intent, that you want Kundalini to start guiding you, then those things would be crystal clear. You would exactly know which thoughts, what thoughts, when you're thinking of those thoughts which are not good for you, you would start getting those unpleasant sensations in different chakras or at the top of your head. And the moment you change your thought, instantly those sensations would be gone. And the moment you return back to those sensations, those thoughts, again those sensations would come back. So it will be such a powerful guidance system that you cannot miss. It will always be like the beacon guiding you towards your goals, towards your desires. That if you just keep following, just make sure that whenever those sensations occur, just wipe them off, then you would continue to head towards that direction of your desires. So if you want to set that, then you set that intent, which we are going to do today. But what kind of sensations we get? And this is where sometimes people run into problems with. What happens is, if you have very strong energy flowing through you, like you have very strong desires, so that means the energy flows through you very strongly, then that energy flow is basically, and also on the other hand, you have very strong resisting beliefs or resisting thoughts as well. Then there would be that collision, and then you would feel a little bit of sensation of unpleasant or painful sensation at the top of your head, if you have something very strong. So if, let's say, your belief is not, the belief against that desire is not that strong, or negative thoughts contradicting that desires are not that strong, or if your desire itself is not that strong, you may not feel it that strong. But if both sides, your wanting and resisting, is equally strong, then you would feel slight painful sensation at the top of your head. And those sensations would only occur when you are thinking of negative thoughts, when you have those negative vibrations. And the moment you can experiment with it, the moment you think of the right kind of thoughts, suddenly those sensations disappear. The moment you think of wrong thoughts, again those sensations come back. Now this is where a lot of people give warning for, because quite often they don't know what that pain is. Okay? And the intensity of that pain would be based on the intensity of how desperately you want that thing and how strong your resisting thoughts are. If both of them are very strong, that pain could be decently strong as well. But it would never, because it's a healing force, because it's a godly force, it would never reach a stage where you can't, where it affects you so much that you can't do your work or you can't manage yourself. It'll just be, even the worst case scenario, it'll be just below that threshold. Because this feeling is just meant to guide you and give you a warning on how strong your thoughts are affecting you in a negative manner. So it's not meant to hurt you. Because what happens is, a lot of these gurus and sages, they basically teach people about Kundalini, they teach them about how to raise their Kundalini and all those kind of things, right? But either they themselves don't know, or they don't bother to tell their disciples that, what would happen, that these kind of things could happen. And then people, sometimes if they have very strong energy flowing through them and with the resistance coming in, suddenly they feel these painful sensations and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do with it. Whenever I do this meditation, this happens. So, and because what happens is, if you don't know why something is happening, or if you don't know how to control it, what's the most natural reaction? You'll be scared of it. You'll want to avoid it. But if you know it's all within your control, just by thoughts, you can control that whole sensation. And once you know that this is actually a good thing, because by having those sensations, you know that you are actually heading in the wrong direction. If you clear those sensations, immediately you know for the duration you're not getting that sensation. All of that duration, you're heading towards your desires. And if you keep that whole thing cleared, perfect, because then those things would start manifesting. So this is the only downside to it. But again, this is something that you would have to want as a guidance system. Because it's like, driving in the dark. Would you prefer to drive with like some light which is very, very dim and you can't see that far? Or, if laws permit, would you prefer to drive with like the high beams where you could see pretty far and very clearly? So think of this Kundalini as your high beam and your inner guidance system as your normal light. So you need that every once in a while, because this is what will take you there quicker. And other than this downside, if you set it to be that way, there is nothing else that can happen. And even this, if let's say your desires are very strong and your negative emotions are very, very strong, then in the beginning, until you clear it, you might feel a little bit of a painful sensation at the top of your head. You have a choice. Either you can clear it, and then you know that that's it, it's all in your control. So you could actually play around with it. You could have certain negative thoughts, change your vibration when you get angry at someone, see what happens. And the moment you then play around with it, clear your thoughts, you would see that whole sensation disappearing straight away. Then you again try to do something negative, you'll see that it will come back. You do something else, it will disappear. You can actually play with it, and then it'll give you the confidence and belief and knowledge that you can control it. It's all within your mind, it's all within your head, and you can control it. And worst come worst, let's say if you have very, very strong energy, and let's say you're feeling some sensation, you don't want that, fine, stop doing this meditation for a few days, sleep it off. It'll just like be the way you were before. So that's the only downside. But to me, that's a very positive side, because every time, let's say when I do feel those sensations every now and then, right? Because I also have those dips, because everyone goes through these cycles of moods and emotions. So I also have those dips and I feel those sensations. Sometimes they are very painful. The reason is that my desires are also very strong. I want to set up the biggest company in the world. I want to be the richest person in the world, So, and I want to invent all these big things that can basically massively change the society. I want to do things which are going to affect the lives of hundreds and millions of people, So my desires are very strong, which means every time whenever working on those desires, the energy flow is very strong as well, which means the sensations that I get when I hit a roadblock in my thoughts are also quite strong as well. Which means I do sometimes feel, slightly significant amount of pain. But that's not going to happen with everyone. Because most people may not have that sort of strength in their belief. Or most people are good people by nature anyways. So they would not have those strong level of negative thoughts. The kind of background of the circumstances I have come from, in between the kind of situations I had faced, it created a lot of very strong negative thoughts and beliefs in me, which I'm trying to clear up. And this is what is causing some of those things. But most people don't have to go through the kind of things I have gone through in my life. So they would not have that sort of strength in their negative thoughts and negative beliefs. Most people are good, they've lived their life reasonably well, they've been okay. So they would never feel that level of sensation that I've felt. But if you do, that means even you have that same sort of maybe dips, the kind of strong, very strong negative dips in life, the way I've seen in my own life, or you also have very, very strong ambitions. So in that case, you may feel, maybe the same amount of pain that I feel sometimes. But it's never at a stage where, it's unmanageable. Because it's not meant as to harm you. And most people would feel only very slight sensation, slight unpleasant sensation, not even pain. Because it's all proportional to how strong your negative thoughts are and how strong your desires are and how much of a big conflict it is. That's all. So this is it. On the other positive side, if you look at this downside, the positive side, everything has two sides. Every single thing has two sides. The positive side is that if you use law of attraction with Kundalini, with this meditation, then it adds powers to your desires. You're able to manifest those things much more quicker. and you are able to have stronger manifestations than if you're just clearing your thoughts. So it's basically not only gives you better guidance than just trying to figure out, am I feeling good, am I feeling bad? You'll be straight away, oh, I'm feeling slight pain here. That means I'm heading in the wrong direction. What do I do? What did I do which made it feel like that? Okay, maybe I should think this, that, think. Oh, it's gone. Great. Move on. And then that energy flow also gives that strength to your manifestations. So you are able to start manifesting things much quicker than you would have otherwise. So both ways, it's actually a very positive tool that we can use. So this is basically the reason a lot of people have warned on websites or internet or books about Kundalini, that if you have very, very strong feelings, or strong desires, very strong negative feelings, then you could have some pain sensations. But you can clear it. The last time it happened with me, a few days ago, all I did was just a couple of days like in a row, it was going through a little bit. So I went for a film because I really like watching films. You know, it just puts me in a good mood. Everyone has those kind of things, right? Slept it off a couple of nights, you know, in a relaxed manner. And just while that was going through, I just thought of all the right thoughts and just went on those, better feeling thoughts, and boom, that whole sensation was gone. But then after a few hours again, something happened, and then again went back onto a negative chain of thoughts, and boom, that whole thing came back. So, but the fact is that there is a control. That the fact that I could just think different things and suddenly have the whole thing clear, and then think different things again for it to come back, think different things. That gives me guidance. I know the direction I'm heading. So that's the important thing. So there is nothing to be afraid of, nothing to worry about. It's in your control. Everything is in your control. It's actually something that will help you manifest your desires much quicker and gives you stronger guidance on which direction you're heading. So every time you think of thoughts which are going to take you away from your direction, you would feel those sensations. 99% of the time, the sensations would be just some unpleasant sensations. Sometimes you would have slight pain. Pain means that you need to pay more attention to it. You have heading in the negative direction in much stronger way, which is actually a good thing for us to know, because we don't want some big bad thing to manifest to us, like driving down the road and getting into a big car crash. We don't want that. I would rather have those sensations of pain in my head and clear them out and live my life happily ever after, than not even know any of those things and then one fine day just like get into like all these big accidents, or have the whole business go down and out of nowhere. That's what happened with me once. I was doing well, and then suddenly everything went down so fast and so rapidly that from a big, quite wealthy person, I suddenly reached a stage where I had nothing, practically nothing. And so all those things, the accidents that have happened in my life, so I've gotten into more than one accident. So I would rather have those feelings and feel that pain and clear it, and then know that I am heading in the right direction, be happy about it, than encounter situations which are so big and bad. So that's a choice you have to make. And if you want to make that choice, we would work on that today. And then from that point on, you'll be able to start healing your mind, body, at least start diagnosing in this session, and one of the future sessions we'll cover how to use it for healing. You'll start feeling those sensations in your different chakras and the top of your head. And you'll start using that to guide which direction, which area of your life you're heading in the wrong direction. Clear it and be happy that now none of those things that you're worried about are going to happen. In fact, only those things you want in that area of life are coming to you. So I'll give you a few minutes to think about all the things I've said. Ponder over it. We'll take a 5-10 minutes break. And then once you come back, what we'll do is, during our meditation, if you decide to do this, go down this path, with the knowledge, with all the things I've said, the slight, I won't call it downside, I consider it a big positive. Knowing the direction you're heading is better than just, getting into some big bad event that you can't recover from. So, whether you want to go down that path or not, you have to make that choice. Once we come back, when we do that meditation, people who want to go down that path would set different intent. You don't have to tell me. And rest of the people would set a different intent. And then we'll go through that meditation. And you set that intent only when you've thought about it and you're ready for it. So that's basically what we would do today.
So we're setting the intent that we want.
Yeah, you would set the intent today. If you want to go down that path, that you would say that I want my Kundalini and this energy flow to start becoming my guidance system, and I want to be able to start diagnosing my emotional, mental, and physical well-being, and I want to start feeling that sensation when I'm heading in the wrong direction at the top of my head and through my chakras. Okay. Once you set that intent, then you would start feeling those sensations going forward. But it's never too bad. That's one thing I can tell you now. It's just that if you're very strong, sometimes strong pain does come through. It's never that strong that you can't manage yourself or can't do your job. It's just that if you're not used to, some people have less tolerance to pain. Sometimes they might just, if they don't know what it is and why it's happening, they might get scared of it. That's all. But you know. So let's reassemble after a few minutes break.